Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. Now, I know I did that mass review of 1963, and then, at the moment, we're currently partaking in a lovely Colin Baker trilogy. Antidote to Oblivion, the middle one, Brood of Eris, and then, of course, this month's release, Scavenger. But in between these two, well, let's call them trilogies, there was an extra story slotted in. Afterlife is a Seventh Doctor story. And it came as more of a surprise that it was actually slotted into the release range than anything else. Now, for those of you who've been listening to the Tin Dog podcast for a while, you know how much I like the Seventh Doctor, and you know how much I like the sneakiness of him. The way he gets involved in all of these mega plans. Basically, the logical progression of what came to be known as the Cartmel Master Plan. All that setting things up, manipulating things, events, people to his own ends. Turning himself around in causality, causing a lot of people's demises. Death is a definite part of the Seventh Doctor's time. Now, I know people complain about stories that are far, far too complicated, and by complicated what they mean is they refer back to stories that happened 10 years earlier. Well, Hex's storyline seemed to end in the last story, when the players of Fenric's game, the Black and the White Gods, ended up taking him well, as a piece. And that's where we open, in territory largely unexplored when it comes to even new television Who, the pain and misery caused by the death of a companion. I know Big Finish, well, it's often said that they kill off companions left, right and centre, and yes, we could all name a few off the top of our heads, but think about it. How many of them have stayed dead, stayed out of the picture permanently? And the post-title sequence at the end of, well, the last story really made you think, Hex isn't gone at all, is he? Hector Schofield's storyline was not ended, but as far as the Doctor and Ace are concerned, oh yeah. We also had new characters, sort of demi-companions, shall we call them. People who've travelled with the Doctor, but we still don't see them as full-on companions. Well, we've also got Sally and her commanding officer, of which you don't need to know very much. But she does turn up here. But that's a surprise, because as a rule I don't read forum posts, I don't read reviews, and I don't read spoilers. I just come to them afresh and possibly glance at the cover. The story is set somewhere in Hex's time. Hex's time is rapidly approaching us, but it is a sort of off-kilter version of now with slightly better technology. Hex had written a letter home to his grandmother. Now, not wanting to go in that much more depth about Hex's mother, that's a whole different story for a whole different time. And also, isn't that important for this story? It does impinge slightly. Basically, there is something unsaid. Now, for those of us of a certain age, Jean Boht is the ultimate Liverpudlian. An actress of a certain age, she's been called in to play, basically, the archetypal Liverpudlian mother. And that is just one of the stunning pieces of casting for this story. Because let's face it, if you like the Seventh Doctor and the way things were going, this is for you. Ace confronts the Doctor. The emotional journey is new, raw and fresh. It's wonderfully delivered and it's wonderfully acted. This is the older Dorothy McShane, the Ace of the New Adventures. But it's also the Ace of classic Doctor Who. As time goes by, Sophie Aldred's portrayal of Ace just gets better. And as for McCoy, not a sign of Radagast going on here. His performance is as sublime as ever. He's really got into his stride of late, and he's being largely ignored because everybody else is putting in such a great performance as well. It's as if they're all competing to be the best. The best audio Doctor, and the people who win is us. Yes, there are storylines involving alien gangsters going on in Liverpool, but that works. There's a gangster who happens to look and sound a lot like Hex. But let's not get into spoiler territory. The Liverpool setting is very well realised, and you just can't fault it. Hex was well known for being in a soap, but as actors go, superb bit of casting, and I'm glad to have him around. So, as always, I'm not going to say this is a bad story at all. If you've enjoyed Hex's story arc, this is a great piece to add to it. If you want to partake in the Seventh Doctor with more than a feel of survival, with a bit of Curse of Fenric thrown in, that's what you're going to get here. So enjoy this as you listen to the trailer for Afterlife.
Am I being too harsh on him? No! Time for him to learn a lesson for a change!
Hello, not today, thank you. Who are you?
Are you Mrs. Hilda Schofield?
Depends, who's asking?
I'm the doctor. I know your grandson. Listen, what are you doing?
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing, do I? Because you never showed me.
Please, be careful!
I'm so sorry, mate. I don't know what to do.
I'm sorry! How many times do I have to say it before you listen?
Maybe this'll clear out your lugholes.
And could you raise your glasses one more time to Thomas Hector Schofield? Here's to you, mate. To Hex.
You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who is the property of the BBC and no infringement is intended. To contact the show or to find out more about Whostrology and my other works, click on the links on the Tin Dog Podcast homepage. Why not follow Blue Box Messiah, all one word, on Twitter to keep up to date with tour dates of my forthcoming Doctor Who comedy play. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.